Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we have a good old-fashioned beauty haul, and this was like a bit of a throwback because it's a MAC haul. I haven't really done a big MAC shopping spree for so long, probably a few years, but I was actually inspired by a lot of the comments you guys left me on my MAC lipsticks video. I don't think I've ever had so many comments on a video, so thank you for leaving those, but I basically asked you to tell me what your favourite MAC lipstick shades were and if you had any recommendations for me, and you had so many, so this was kind of motivated by lipsticks. And I have bought quite a few new lipsticks to add to my collection, but I will get to those in a second. I think my intention was just to stick to lip products, but I kind of was looking around the website and I saw a few things that I wanted, so I picked them up as well. So I'm going to show you everything that I got today. And somebody is hopefully going to stop wriggling around on my lap, because that's the only place you'll sit happily, isn't it? So starting off with a few base products, and this is a bit of a throwback because I had this so many years ago. I think this is probably one of the first MAC products I ever got. It's the Strobe Cream, and I actually bought the mini size, the travel version, because I remember having the actual full size tube and just never even getting even a quarter of a way through it, because this stuff goes such a long way, you don't need a lot of it. So I'm kind of happy and content that this size bottle is going to last me forever. But basically the Strobe Cream is a kind of highlighting, illuminating cream. It has a million different uses, so you can put it underneath your foundation to kind of give your skin a bit of glow. You can mix it in with your foundation or any other base products, and you can also use it as a highlighter, a cream highlighter on the tops of your cheekbones. And I've used it in quite a few ways, and I remember how nice this product is because it feels very weightless. It's not sticky or balmy like some illuminating cream highlighters can be. It almost feels like a gel, so it mixes in beautifully with other products, and the actual luminosity to this is so pretty. It's kind of a little bit, not holographic, what's the word? Duochrome. It's like pink and a bit white, and then sometimes a little bit blue as well, and reflective. So I'd say this is quite a cool toned one, so if you like a cool toned highlight, this is such a multi-use product. It's really cool. So I've got so much use out of this since repurchasing it, and I'm just really happy to have it back in my collection again, so I love that one. I've never really been much of a MAC foundation girl. I've never actually owned a MAC foundation apart from Face and Body, which I kind of count more as a tinted moisturiser kind of thing. They've just never really appealed to me, and the colour choices are always super confusing. So I ended up getting the Studio Sculpt foundation, and I went for the shade NC15 in the end, which is actually a really good match for me, if not maybe slightly too light. I was kind of afraid that it would go really dark on me because I've heard that MAC foundations oxidise, but it hasn't really. So this is pretty much the exact colour of my pale skin, and usually I don't tend to find foundations that match me exactly, so that is really good. It's kind of an interesting consistency. It's almost like a gel. It doesn't feel heavy, it doesn't sit on my skin, and yet it has amazing coverage. It's really full coverage. And when I first put this on, I was kind of worried because it was making my skin look very dry and kind of flaky and patchy in places, but after a while that just kind of disappeared. It settled down and it went completely, almost like this sort of melted into my skin, and it gives a really beautiful finish. It looks just super flawless, incredibly flawless, and at the same time it's not heavy, so you can get a really full coverage foundation without having to wear a product that's really weighing your skin down, which I think is great because sometimes I need a day of a full coverage foundation. Sometimes my skin just doesn't look its best. So this one was a little bit of an impulse, but I kind of decided that I would get good use out of this. So I decided to get it, and it's the Pro Conceal and Correct palette in the shade Light, and this is basically a little palette of, I think it's the Studio Fix concealer, the one that comes in a little round pot. I can't remember what it's called exactly, but it's a concealer that I've used in the past and I really liked. So this is basically it in 3 different shades, and then 3 shades of corrector, or maybe it's 4 shades of concealer and 2 shades of corrector. Either way, I thought this would be really good for just general concealing, and I am a fan of pinpoint concealing, so really using a very light foundation and then just concealing over the top and making everything flawless that way. So this is perfect for that. I really like this peachy shade here for kind of correcting dark circles, and this yellowy tone one is great for redness and also brightening. And having these 4 concealers, even though they may not all be my exact skin tone, is actually great because you can mix and match them, you can put them in different areas of your face. So I've actually got so much use out of this palette already, more than I thought I would, and the consistency of the concealer is really nice. It's very pigmented and very covering, so it does a good job of concealing all round. I really like this one. So I also got a Mineralize skin finish, and they've actually changed the packaging on this, which is really strange because I used to have one of these many years ago, and it was just my go-to powder. I used to cake my face in that stuff, and I was going to go for a normal powder colour, but then I saw they had bronzers as well. This is actually in the shade Give Me Sun, and I just thought it looked like such a beautiful summery, really warm tone bronzer, and I don't usually go for this kind of coloured bronzer, but it just screams summer to me, so I decided to get it, and I remember how beautifully glowy and fresh looking these powders were, so I thought that would make for a really nice bronzer formula. When I first put this on, I was actually wearing the Studio Finish foundation, so putting a super warm tone bronzer on top of a really pale foundation was a bit terrifying, but when I have a bit more colour in my skin, when I'm wearing something that has a bit more warmth to it, this just works so beautifully. So I think anyone from kind of mid pale skin tones up to really kind of deep skin tones, this would look amazing on. It's such a healthy looking bronzer, it makes my skin look really lovely and glowy, so I've been really enjoying this actually, and I kind of want to get one of the actual skin toned mineralized skin finishes now, because I want to see how they compare to the Hourglass ambient lighting powders. In my head, remembering them, I feel like they are very similar in formulas, so these could possibly be a really good dupe for those, because we all know the Hourglass ones are ridiculously expensive. Okay, so onto something a little bit more fun. I've been collecting MAC eyeshadows now for probably at least 5 or 6 years. It's been a long time. I've never had enough to fill up a full large sized eye palette, and I was only a few away, so I decided to get a few more eyeshadows, and I now have a full neutral palette. I say neutral, it's kind of not really neutral. Some of it is and some of it's a bit more colourful, but I'm actually really happy with everything that I have in here now. So if you would like to see a full kind of in-depth video on what's inside this, I will definitely do that with lots of swatches and things, so let me know in the comments if that's something you would watch. So I got 3 new shadows, and I feel like they were just the 3 that this palette was missing. They just finish it off perfectly. So the first one was Nylon. So Nylon is almost a kind of yellowy toned highlight. It's super shimmery, so it makes for an amazing inner eye highlight, and that's basically what I bought it for. Also, if you just like a really kind of pale, sheeny, washed out eyelid, this is so pretty for that. And I kind of have been putting this a little bit on my cheekbones as well, just to give them a bit of extra glow, because it's so pigmented and really intense. So this one is Embark, and this is just one of those really beautiful, warm toned, almost a little bit purpley, matte brown colours, and I love having these sort of shades in my eyeshadow palettes because I use them so much. I'll basically use this as an eyeliner, so I smudge it into my lashes. I can sometimes wing it out. I have that on today. I've kind of winged it out a little bit, and then also just to darken up my eye if I put a little bit in the outer crease. It's just one of those really easy to use, really handy shades, so I'm glad I have that in here now. And then the last one was a bit of a spontaneous purchase. I feel like this colour eyeshadow I've just wanted forever, regardless of how much use I will probably actually get out of it, and it's this one here, and it's Club. I feel like Club is one of those really cult classic MAC eyeshadow shades, and it's just so different from any other shadow I've seen, so I think it's really worth getting. First of all, it kind of looks a bit blue, and then you turn it and it's green, and then it even goes purpley and sort of brown. It's definitely a duochrome, and I feel like this would just make the most amazing smoky eye, so I can't wait to use it for that. I haven't yet kind of gone really intensely with it because it's kind of blue and brown. I think this would look amazing on any kind of eye colour. It'd be so pretty on blue eyes, and for me as well, having brown eyes, I think it would work really nicely too, so I might do a tutorial with this if I kind of try it out and really like it. So those are the shadows that I got, and again, let me know if you'd like to see a video on my full palette. And then we move on to the lipsticks, and should I say the lip products, because I have a few lip liners in here too. I have 2 lip liners, and then I got 5 lipsticks, and I literally went through every single comment you guys left me and kind of wrote everything down. So I'll start with the lip pencils. These 2 are kind of similar. I was just going to get this one here, which is Nightmoth, because a lot of you guys told me that Rebel works really nicely with this lip liner. So Rebel I found was a bit patchy on me, but I think using this underneath would really make a difference. It's such a beautiful deep purple shade. It's a really intense kind of plum, and I love this sort of colour. I feel like you have to be quite sparing with this one because once it's on, it's just so intense. It almost looks a little bit black, so it's a really dark one. So I also got Burgundy, and this one is a bit more of a classic deep berry colour. You can see it's a lot lighter than Nightmoth. I have so many of these lipstick colours, and they are some of my favourites to wear, but I didn't have a lip liner to go with them, so I decided to pick this up just so I could use it underneath, because I think using a lip liner, especially underneath a very dark, very bold lipstick, makes such a difference. It just keeps it on for so much longer. So those are the 2 lip liners that I got, and then let's move on to lipsticks. So the first one I saw was Kind of Sexy, and I wasn't sure if I'd like this because it looked a lot darker on the website, MAC's website swatches are terrible. They are just not true to colour whatsoever. But I searched for a few pictures of people wearing this and it looked really, really great. And I'm really happy with it actually. It's a very kind of caramelly, neutral kind of nude. I actually used this in my Adele makeup tutorial, so I will leave that link down below or on the screen somewhere if you want to see me putting it on. It actually reminds me a little bit of Velvet Teddy, but just a lot paler and a bit more pared down. So Velvet Teddy can sometimes look a bit too intense and a bit too brown on me, whereas this one I feel like is just a slightly lighter version of that. So great if you have fairer skin and Velvet Teddy doesn't suit you quite as well. It's almost a little bit peachy and pink as well, and I really like that. I think slightly peachier nudes really suit me and my kind of colouring, so I'm really happy with this one. It's been one of my kind of go-to everyday colours. And then I also got another one of the retro matte lipsticks. I was talking loads about these in the MAC lipsticks video. They're just my favourite formulation of lipstick, especially MAC lipsticks. They're just very kind of intense, very, very pigmented, and some people say they're drying, but personally on me, as long as I have a lip balm underneath, they don't dry me out at all and they just last for ages and ages. So I love them, and I'm not sure why. I'd never looked at this colour before, but as soon as I saw it I kind of instantly knew I wanted it, and this is Runway Pink. I have this on my lips today and it really has become one of my favourite everyday shades. It reminds me a lot as well of Tom Ford First Time, which is just probably my favourite nude lipstick ever, you guys know that. So compared to kind of Sexy, it's a lot pinker, a bit more brightening, and this is such a flattering colour. I feel like it really lifts my face and brightens everything up a bit if I don't look particularly well rested. I feel like MAC don't do too many of these kind of really pretty pink shades. It either seems to be very brown tone pinks or really electric bright pinks. So this is an amazing one if you like just a very natural, neutral pink. And then I also got Taupe, and this is probably one of the most recommended lipsticks that you guys were telling me about. This one is very brown toned. It's really a true brown, but it's still not dark. It has a little bit of lightness to it, which I think just makes it so much more wearable. I'm not sure this one suits me quite as much, but I do really like the whole kind of 90s inspired brown lip thing. I think it is a really, really cool trend. So the next one is a red. Of course I had to buy a red. This is actually very different from a lot of the red lipsticks that I have in my collection because it is a very, very true brick red, and I've been looking for a colour like this for ages and ages and I've just never really found one. I really like this. I think it's just such a different way to wear a red lipstick, and a really interesting one too. So if you're not kind of into the really showy, really bright and out there reds, this might be a kind of perfect shade to go for. And then the last one I bought is probably the most seasonally inappropriate shade I've ever bought. This is actually probably now the darkest lipstick that I own, and this is Sin. While I was searching for swatches of the Nightmoth Lip Liner, I actually saw someone pair it with this and it looked amazing, just incredible, super intense, really, really dark lips. And I'm such a fan of these kind of colours. I really, really enjoy wearing them, maybe more so in autumn or winter when they're a bit more appropriate rather than the middle of spring. It reminds me a little bit of Diva, which is another MAC lipstick that I own. It is just a very true kind of red toned deep burgundy, which I really like. Sometimes purples make me look a little bit tired, so the really kind of true red berries are some of my favourites. So that was my spontaneous MAC haul for you guys. I hope you enjoyed watching that. Let me know if you have any of these and if you like them, or if there's a certain way you like to use them, and also your liner recommendations for all these lipsticks. If there's a particular liner that you pair it with that makes it look amazing, I would love to know. So thank you so much for watching, and that is it from me today, and a very tired little puppy that's fallen asleep on my lap. I will see you all soon. Bye!